What is up, guys? We are back after a bye week with another UFC predictions video for UFC Fight Night. Tsarukyan versus Dariush. We've been doing pretty good on the last two cards, so let's try and keep the momentum. Let's jump right in. Kicking us off at women's flyweight, Veronica versus Jamielorth. I'm gonna go with Jamielorth in this fight. Veronica is pretty bad. Her recent win over Juliana Miller, I can't rate because I think Juliana Miller is genuinely awful. And Veronica I think she's going to have a hard time in this matchup dealing with the size advantage of Jamielorth. She's a lot bigger, and I think she's just better overall in the stand-up. Veronica could potentially try and work her grappling, but I'm not gonna lay a prediction on the off chance of a women's MMA fighter applying their grappling. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go with Jamielorth here. I think she's a better striker, and I think most of this fight will stay standing. Even though Veronica does kind of have a Muay Thai base, I just don't see her winning this fight, man. I just think Jamielorth is above the level that Veronica operates at, personally. Not by much, but enough to eke out a decision, I think. I think Jamielorth will probably win like a 29-28 decision. I think it'll be a pretty close fight. But I think she'll edge out a decision. Going to welterweight, we have Wellington Turman versus Jared Gooden. I'm going with Wellington Turman in this fight. I feel like this is a pretty, I don't want to say easy fight for Wellington Turman, because Jared Gooden does have some power in his hands. He's pretty durable as well. But Wellington Turman's last fight against Randy Brown, he looked really fucking good in the stand-up. And Randy Brown's a guy who's like, if you're bad in the stand-up, you're gonna get beat up pretty bad. And Wellington Turman held his own very well. I think he honestly could have probably beaten Randy Brown. In hindsight. In the moment, I thought Randy Brown won because I bet on Randy Brown, but Wellington Turman, man, he looked really good. He's always had decent grappling. He's always had really good jiu-jitsu. And I think his striking game is coming together really well. I think he's gonna beat Jared Gooden pretty easily. There's obviously still danger there. He's given up 5 inches of reach. I think Jared Gooden has the power advantage, but I think in all facets of the fight, I think Wellington Turman is just outright better. I think Wellington Turman's probably going to win this fight. I think he's going to submit Jared Gooden. I think he might hurt him on the feet, go for a takedown entry, get it, and submit him. Moving to light heavyweight, Rodolfo Bellato versus Ihor Potieria. This fight's a little like the line, at least, because Rodolfo should not be minus 425 over just about anybody. Ihor's not exactly great, but Rodolfo does have some tendencies to kind of leave his head just straight on the center line. Granted, the only guy to knock him out ever is Vitor Petrino, and man, Vitor Petrino, better than I thought he was. He definitely hits really fucking hard too. He definitely hits really hard. I'm gonna go with Rodolfo Bellato, but I don't like the line. Like, if you're a guy who listens to these to try and bet on these fights, I would not play Rodolfo Bellato at minus 425, even though I do think he will win this fight. It's just, I would stay away personally. I think Rodolfo Bellato will win because I think he's a little bit better in that dogfight. You know what I mean? And most of his fights on the Contender Series and his fights outside of it on the regional scene, he's just kind of a marauder. He kind of just walks in, takes big shots, but lands better shots. He's effective at mixing it up. And he could take a good shot, unless it's from Vitor Petrino. Ihor Potieria, he's got good power for the first round, pretty much, but that's about it. It doesn't seem like he's too outrageously durable either. It kind of seems like he melts pretty quickly once he gets hit hard, whereas Rodolfo Bellato can kind of take a good licking in the pocket. So I'm just going to lean towards what I think is a little bit of a durability advantage and an ability to kind of make the fight his pace with Rodolfo Bellato. I think he'll get Ihor Potieria out of there. probably by like round 2 or 3 TKO. I think he breaks him with his pressure later on in the fight. At featherweight, we have Steve Garcia versus Quisel Costa. That's a hard name to say. I'm going to be going with Quisel Costa over Steve Garcia. I think Steve Garcia is actually pretty good. But I think Costa just kind of operates at just like a tier above him in like every skill set. Uh, he just seems better overall. His striking, I think, is better than Steve Garcia's. I think his grappling's better than Steve Garcia's. He was able to hang in the grappling pretty well with Thiago Moises on short notice. Though he lost by submission, he was able to hold his own pretty well. He was definitely able to hold his own in the striking. He seems outrageously durable. He's just a hard guy to pick against in this fight. Steve Garcia has good skills, but I think I'm going to trust Costa to edge out a decision here over Steve Garcia. I just think he's that little bit better. He has given up some reach, but he's pretty good in the pocket, man. So yeah, I'm going to go with Costa by decision. At lightweight, Drakkar Klose versus Joe Solecki. This is an interesting fight. This is a pretty close fight, I think. Joe Solecki's pretty good. 9 submissions, good grappler, but I can't pick him. I can't pick a guy who's never finished a guy with strikes. You know what I mean? I just can't trust that because I don't think he's going to be able to very reliably get Drakkar Klose to the ground and put him in danger with submissions. And based on his record and his fights in the UFC, that's the only way he can win. Pretty much, besides like a decision, but I don't think he's going to win a decision over Drakkar Klose, who I think is a much better striker. I think Drakkar Klose is going to win this fight because he's just really good overall. He's a very good all-around fighter, and the only guy he's lost to since 2018 was Beneil Dariush, and it was mostly because he got a little bit reckless in that fight. A fight that he was winning, I think, by the way, and he got hurt. I think Drakkar Klose is just... I think he's going to be able to stop Joe Solecki's takedowns pretty, I don't want to say easily, but I think he has a skill level to do it. And if Joe Solecki can't get his takedowns, I mean, his chances of winning the fight drop through the floor, you know what I mean? And Drakkar Klose has some nasty hands, man. Beat up Rafa Garcia in a pretty close fight, who I think Rafa Garcia is pretty good. He hasn't fought in a while, and he is 35, but I think Drakkar Klose is going to win this fight. I think he's actually going to get it done by TKO in like rounds 2 or 3 over Joe Solecki. I think he's going to stuff the takedowns and hurt him with his hands. I do. I'm going to go with Drakkar Klose. TKO there. This fight. Oh joy. Oh joy, this fight. Moving to middleweight, Zachary Reese versus Cody Brundage. Man, fuck Cody Brundage. I see, my position with picking this fight is I want to pick Zachary Reese because screw Cody Brundage, right? But if I pick Zachary Reese, I'm sending a message to the MMA gods to make Cody Brundage win just to spite me. So I'm horrified of that. I'm gonna go with Zachary Reese. Cody Brundage. If this ages badly, I'll delete my channel. Cody Brundage is awful. He's terrible. He shouldn't have a job in the UFC. He should have lost to Jacob Malkoun, but instead he was awarded an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. Cody Brundage is bad. I think Zachary Reese is going to win this fight. I think he's probably going to chain Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage responds really bad to getting touched. He could submit Cody Brundage because Cody Brundage has 0 fight IQ. Zachary Reese any way he wants, I think. Even though Zachary Reese isn't that good, it's just Cody Brundage is literally a trash can. Can you tell I lost a bet on Jacob Malkoun? Moving up to women's bantamweight, Misha Tate versus Julia Avila. My bad. I'm surprised Misha Tate is the underdog because Julia Avila really hasn't beaten anybody. I know Misha Tate's old, and I know she's coming off of a bunch of losses, but her losses are literally to like top 10 fighters. Julia Avila is not a top 10 fighter. Not even close. I kind of like the underdog in this fight. I kind of like Misha Tate. She's a bit older, yes. She's given up some reach, yes. But I think she has a bit of a grappling upside in this fight. And I think she's got enough veteran experience against high-level mixed martial artists in the top 10 to where she can probably eke out a 3-round decision over Julia Avila. I think I'm going to go with Misha Tate by decision here. I think I'm going to go with the dog, fellas. Uh, I just kind of, I just don't see it from Julia Avila. I just can't get behind it at minus 160, in my opinion. Moving up to the main card. This is a sick main card, fellas. I don't know if you've taken a look at this card, but this one's pretty good. Uh, at middleweight, we have Punahele Sorano versus Dustin Stoltzfus. I gotta go with Sorano. I gotta go with Punahele Sorano in this one, man. Dustin Stoltzfus, I just don't think is very good. He's pretty terrible. I mean, his last fight was about a year ago, and he got chinned in 22nd by Abus Magomedov, bro. Punahele Soriano, his career has kind of been up and down. You know, he lost to Roman Kopylov. That'll happen, bro. I don't think Dustin Solsvis is going to be able to apply his game to Soriano. Soriano's a bit of a tank. He's got good durability and he's got wicked power. And I don't think Dustin Solsvis has the durability or the will once he gets hit. I think he just kind of shies away from it. I think Punahele Soriano is going to get him out of there early by like round 1 or 2 TKO. I think he's good enough to stop any takedowns Dustin Stoltzfus goes for. I think he's big enough, strong enough, skilled enough to do that. And I think on the feet, he has a distinct power advantage over Dustin Stoltzfus. Moving up to lightweight, Clay Guida versus Joakim Silva. Whew, I hate to bet against the Carpenter man, but I gotta go with Joakim Silva. I don't know about minus 350. Joakim Silva had a really good performance in his last fight because on short notice he dropped Arman Tsarukyan really bad. Uh, or had him wobbled really bad. I don't think he actually dropped him, but he had him on skates. Uh, Joaquim Silva, really good power, really good hands, great jujitsu, dangerous guy. Uh, all he needs to do in this fight to win is to be able to sting Clay Guida on the feet, because Clay Guida is going to be in his face the entire time. Um, if he can sting him with a shot, which I think he easily has the power to do, I think he'll be able to beat Clay Guida. If you can't hurt Clay Guida on the feet, you're just going to lose a decision because he's just going to stay in your face and keep peppering you the entire fight. Uh, it is winnable for Clay Guida, but I think Joaquim Silva is going to have too much power, and Clay Guida took a lot of damage in his last fight against Rafa Garcia. I love Clay Guida, but I think he's going to get TKO by Joaquim Silva in like round 2. I think he's just not going to be able to hold up to all of the shots from Silva rushing in. Now, Clay Guida could win. He could work his grappling, but I think Joaquim Silva is a little bit too dangerous on the mat as well from his back. I gotta go with Joaquim Silva by TKO. I'd be happy if Clay won, but I don't see it, man. At welterweight, here's a fight I've deliberated on. Sean Brady versus Kelvin Gastelum making his return to welterweight. Um, I'm going with Kelvin Gastelum just outright. Sean Brady, you know, a lot of people have been picking Sean Brady. I just don't see it, man. Like you look at his record and I don't see a win or a performance in his entire record that makes me think, yeah, he'll beat Kelvin Gastelum. He squeaked out a win against Michael Chiesa when he gassed out miserably grappling, which is what he's supposed to be good at. He didn't submit Michael Chiesa, who at this point in his career seems to be a pretty easy guy to submit. No offense, but like, you know, and then he gets chinned. He gets TKO'd standing by Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad has 23 mixed martial arts wins and 5 TKOs. And you get TKO'd standing by Bilal Muhammad? Like Bilal's good. But if there's one thing I am certain Bilal Muhammad does not have, It is power in his hands. And we're getting TKO'd standing? That's crazy. And his best win is against Jake Matthews. And I mean, Jake Matthews had a resurgence when he beat Andre Fialho. But, we learned Andre Fialho sucks. He's cut. He's gone. So, I just, do any of those recent performances make you think he's going to go beat Kelvin Gastelum? Because I was trying to think of a way, I could get behind Sean Brady, because I kind of wanted to pick him. But I just don't see it. I watched the fights back. I just don't see it. He couldn't take Bilal Muhammad down. Kelvin Gastelum has had guys bigger than Sean Brady shoot takedowns on him. I know this fight was a while ago, but Kelvin Gastelum didn't get taken down by Ian Heinisch, who's gigantic. It's like if Bilal Muhammad's stinging you on the feet, buddy, do I have a deal for you? What's gonna happen when you get hit by Kelvin Gastelum, bro? I gotta go with Kelvin, man. I have to. He's inconsistent, but when you look at his record, every guy he's fought is a beast. You know what I mean? He's coming off a win over Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis is a guy who's also a former welterweight, but he's damn good in the pocket. And that's all that fight was. It was just a fight in the pocket. I think Kelvin Gastelum's going to be able to stop the takedowns of Sean Brady, and I feel like if he lands on Sean Brady, man, if he didn't like Bilal hitting him, he's really not going to like Kelvin Gastelum hitting him. I got to go with Kelvin Gastelum. I think he's going to finish him in the later rounds. I think he's going to win by TKO in rounds 2 or 3. At bantamweight, Rob Font versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Banger. There's a lot of bangers on this main card. I've kind of gone back and forth on this one. I was really sure about Rob Font for a while, but Deiveson Figueiredo seems to be in good shape, and he's back at fight ready, which I think bodes well if you are picking him. I'm still going to go with Rob Font because this is his weight class. I think Rob Font, his striking is so clean, man. His boxing is just going to be levels above Deiveson Figueiredo, whose striking defense notoriously isn't particularly great. He's going to need to tighten that up if he's moving to bantamweight and fighting a guy like Rob Font. Rob Font doesn't have outrageous power, but if you have bad striking defense, he's going to beat the shit out of you, dude. Deiveson Figueiredo's best way to win this is to either mix in his grappling or, we'll see if his power translates and he can sting Rob Font. I'm sure he can sting Rob Font. I just don't know if he's going to be able to just sleep him unconscious like he was doing to a lot of guys at flyweight, because Rob Font's a pretty big dude for bantamweight. He's the bigger guy in this fight by far. And I think Rob Font's going to be able to stop the takedowns of Deiveson Figueiredo. He wasn't able to stop the takedowns of Corey Sandhagen, but I think Corey Sandhagen is an insanely talented fighter. And I also don't think Rob Font was planning on Corey Sandhagen to lay and pray him for 5 rounds. I'm going to trust it Rob Font here. I think he's going to get the win over Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he's going to TKO him. I think once Rob Font gets his jab working, he's going to be able to just find Deiveson Figueiredo whenever he wants, because he's a bigger guy. He has the reach. I think he has the striking upside. I trust in his grappling defense. The New England Cartel guys are actually pretty good, despite his loss to Corey Sandhagen. I think his grappling defense is still pretty good. I think he's got this one. Might be a close fight, but I think he's gonna win a decision over Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he's just gonna pick him apart on the feet. Co-main event at lightweight, Jaylen Turner versus Bobby Green. Good fight again. I was gonna pick Bobby Green in the original fight with Dan Hooker. However, I am not picking Bobby Green in this one. I think this is a harder matchup for Bobby Green because Dan Hooker would give Bobby the fight he would want by walking into range and trying to pressure Bobby Green, so Bobby Green could just sit on the back foot and counter strike. Jaylen Turner, he's not gonna do that. He's gonna kick Bobby Green at range. He's gonna push Bobby Green around with his front kick and his teep kick. And I don't think he's gonna wade into range against Bobby Green. I think he's just gonna stay on the outside and make Bobby Green come to him. And Bobby Green is a good fighter. But he is not particularly great when he is the aggressing party in a fight. He's not as good moving forward as when he's moving backwards. When he has to make the first move, he's not as good. And I think Jaylen Turner is going to be able to exploit that. I think he's going to beat Bobby Green. I also think Jaylen Turner has the grappling upside in this fight. Bobby Green can wrestle, but if there's a guy who's going to implement the grappling and implement it well, I think it's going to be Jaylen Turner. He's also obviously much bigger, 6 inches of reach, like 5 inches in height. I gotta go with Jaylen Turner. I think how do I think he wins this? I think he could win this fight literally any which way. Um, I think what's most likely though, Bobby Green's a pretty tough customer. I think he's gonna win this fight by decision. I don't really see him being able to chin Bobby Green. I think he maybe could submit him, but I think most likely he's just going to be able to eke out a decision over Bobby Green. Maybe Bobby Green wins a round as the fight gets later because this is on short notice. But I think Jaylen Turner will probably bank the first 2 rounds and win a decision, in my opinion. And then closing us off, the main event at lightweight, Beneil Dariush and Arman Tsarukyan. Man, this is a fight I've gone back and forth on. I feel like these guys should be like evens. I think there's a ton of line overcorrection for Beneil Dariush losing to Charles Oliveira. Like, Beneil Dariush was borderline a favorite against Charles Oliveira, or maybe he was the favorite, but now he's plus 230 against Arman Tsarukyan. That's a bit bananas, I think. And I actually, like, even up to this point to where I'm talking, I haven't been able to decide who I'm going with in this fight. I think I'm going to go with. Damn, I really want to go with Beneil Dariush. I really, really do. Uh, uh, I'm gonna, fellas, I'm gonna preface this. This is a pick from the heart, not the mind, okay? So do with that what you will. I'm gonna go with Beneil Dariush over Arman Tsarukyan. There's a couple of things that Arman Tsarukyan does when he fights that slightly worry me when he's fighting Beneil Dariush. Arman Tsarukyan has really good striking, but at times you can just tell that he is a wrestler when he is striking because sometimes he just hangs his head out there and it is a bit scary. Joakim Silva figured that out and put him on skates very bad. One thing I've noticed, and I saw people talk about this, Arman Tsarukyan, when him and another fighter are kind of in an open stance, he tends to dip his head towards the power side of the guy he's fighting a lot. And he doesn't really move his head very well when a strike comes in. So I fear that there will be a point in this fight, this is a 5-round fight, where he might lean his head into a position to where Beneil Dariush just rings his bell. Beneil Dariush has really good power in his hands, underrated power in his hands. And I think if Beneil Dariush stings Arman Tsarukyan the way Joakim Silva was able to sting him, I don't think Arman's going to be able to recover because I feel like Beneil's too lethal on the ground. I feel like Beneil's too lethal in the stand-up if you're hurt. He's too lethal on the ground. I feel like there might be an opportunity where Beneil Dariush can get this win. However, Arman Tsarukyan is very good. He has really good grappling. He's got good striking. His striking defense is a little but he's very powerful. He's very explosive. He can carry a fight for 5 rounds. Man, this is an even matchup for me. The line on this is off, quite frankly, I think. Which is kind of why I'm picking Beneil. And this isn't betting advice, fellas. This isn't betting advice, but I'm going with Beneil Dariush. I just don't. I think Beneil can defend the grappling. He was able to defend it against Mateusz Gamrot very well and find his shots very well. Although I think Arman's a better striker than Mateusz Gamrot, even though he has a loss to Mateusz. But I think the Beneil Dariush we saw in Canada against Charles Oliveira is not that wasn't Beneil Dariush. You know what I'm saying? I think Beneil's gonna look good in this fight. I think there's a bit of line over correction. I feel like there's a bit of like people being like, "Oh, Beneil's done," after that one loss. I think Beneil's gonna bounce back and look good in this fight, and I think he has what it takes to beat Arman Tsarukyan. I think he's gonna get him. I think he's gonna finish Arman Tsarukyan. I think he's gonna finish him. I think Beneil Dariush is gonna TKO Arman Tsarukyan in like the 3rd round. Is that insane? Maybe. But who cares? If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. I think this was a long one. I think I rambled on a lot. So if you enjoyed the longer one, let me know. Thank you guys for watching. I said that already, but I'll catch you guys next week for Song Gutierrez. See ya.